Donald Trump is warning that the United States is heading towards a depression. This could be far worse than a recession. Many people will struggle, many people will go homeless, many people could go without food. This is going to cause the United States economy to struggle. And experts are now claiming that while 2025 could be the year of Great Depression, the following year after that, we will then start to see the US economy boom. But until then, it looks like America is going to be in for some hardship. We're going to break down everything what's going on. I'll show you some of the stories that are circulating in the media, why Trump is saying what he's saying, and what are the factors that are leading or pointing to the United States heading into depression. So we'll take a look at all of this, but before we do, it takes just 2 seconds. If you're new around here and you enjoy this video or enjoy these kind of updates, please do hit the like and subscribe button down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. So here it is, one of the main stories circulating in the media today. Donald Trump issues Great Depression warning. Now, the immediate reaction to hearing that is that it has to be a pretty big thing or a pretty seismic factor for Donald Trump to make a warning like that. What's causing it? We'll take a look into this down below because, quite frankly, it's staggering that the likes of Trump would make a warning like that when he ran on making the economy great again. So let's take a look into this, and it's this particular paragraph to begin with that stood out to me. The president-elect, who failed to get a provision raising the debt ceiling included in a stopgap spending bill passed by lawmakers earlier this month, claimed on social media on Sunday that the Democrats would prefer a depression as long as it hurt the Republican Party. Now, I don't know how true that statement is or how much validity there is in that claim, but if there is a case to be made for that, then it would appear that the parties are playing politics as opposed to putting the welfare of the American people first, or indeed the welfare of the US economy first. Now, part of me doesn't want to believe, whether it's the United States, the United Kingdom, France, wherever it may be, I don't want to believe that politicians would play party politics over putting the economy and the welfare of the people that elected them first. But if there is anything to be said for it, then I think it's a great shame that the Democrats would choose to go down this option to hurt the Republican Party, and in doing so, hurt the American people inversely at the same time. But let's go one step further and let's actually see what Donald Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform. Take a look at this. The extension of the debt ceiling by a previous Speaker of the House, a good man and a friend of mine, from this past September of the Biden administration to June of the Trump administration, will go down as one of the dumbest political decisions made in years. That right there is referring to the former Speaker of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, who was ousted, the first speaker ever ousted in the history of the United States. So clearly it must have been a pretty bad situation. There was no reason to do it. Nothing was gained, and we got nothing for it. A major reason why that speakership was lost. It was Biden's problem, not ours. Now it becomes ours. I call it 1929 because the Democrats don't care what our country may be forced into. In fact, they would prefer depression as long as it hurt the Republican Party. The Democrats must be forced to take a vote on this treacherous issue now, during the Biden administration, and not in June. They should be blamed for this potential disaster, not the Republicans. So why is this all important? Well, Donald Trump is wanting to increase the debt ceiling of the United States. And for those who don't know, the debt ceiling is simply a limit on the amount of money that the US government can borrow in order to pay for services such as Social Security, Medicare, the military, etc. And the reason it's so important is because United States lawmakers are saying that unless there is a significant cut in government spending, then they will not be able to raise the debt ceiling to higher than it is currently. And that means the US government cannot borrow money to pay for services, spend on the military, spend on schools, Medicare, etc. That would be a disaster. Not that I call for dramatic levels of government borrowing, because my thoughts on central banks and institutions like the Federal Reserve are pretty well known. But if you're facing the prospect of a Great Depression and you need to essentially jumpstart the United States economy because it's contracting more and more because of the depression, then you need to find the money somewhere. And if you can't borrow it, then your hands are tied with an economy that is shrinking, a people that are suffering, and a government that doesn't work because the parties are playing politics. And this is why it's being said that in the new year 2025, lawmakers are going to have to move quickly in order to raise the debt ceiling to prevent the US from defaulting on its debt obligations. Because God forbid, if the United States does indeed default, then you're looking at an economic Armageddon, much worse than a recession, hence the term Great Depression. Now, the US economy has never defaulted on its debt before, so it's not exactly clear what would happen because there's no precedent for it happening before. But it's widely agreed by economists and news outlets it's not likely to be good. Janet Yellen, the US Treasury Secretary, said the following: "Failure to meet the government's obligation would cause irreparable harm to the US economy, the livelihoods of all Americans, and global financial stability." Now, in terms of the consequences if the US does indeed default on its debts, investors would lose faith in the US dollar, causing the economy to weaken quickly. Job cuts would be imminent, most likely federal job cuts, military job cuts, etc. And the US federal government would not have the means to continue all its services. Mortgage rates and probably wider interest rates would probably soar, tanking the housing market. So the consequences if the US defaults on its debt are pretty dire indeed. And we're already seeing the full effects of this take place. You know, we've spoken in length on this channel about these mass layoffs that have been taking place, the rise in the cost of living, people are struggling to pay for groceries, fresh fruit, etc. Well, it all links back to this. Because if the US economy fails, everything is going to go up in price and everyone is going to struggle. I mean, the headlines alone speak for themselves. From The Economist, homelessness rises to a record level in America. From Business Standard, tech layoffs 2024. Over 100,000 IT jobs were cut in the second half of the year. Not even a full year. The second half of the year. 100,000 jobs lost in 6 months. From all sides, demand at food banks has soared to record levels all over the United States. And the shocking part is, these are current records. The headline said, homelessness reaches record levels. Food bank use reaches record levels. Trump is warning going into 2025, we are heading into a Great Depression. If we're seeing record levels now, it's very likely we haven't even scratched the surface because those could very well be set to increase. New records for that kind of stuff, be it homelessness, mass layoffs, or food bank use, new records could be set every day going into 2025. If we're heading into a Great Depression, it's very likely we haven't even scratched the surface yet. So, as for things to look forward to, and I'll leave you with this final thought, it doesn't look like 2025 is going to be the best year, according to what the experts and analysts are telling us. But it's more likely to be a transforming year, a rebuilding year, so that we can escape and get to the promised land where everyone is thriving once again. But in order to get to a place where the US economy is fit, healthy, people are in work, people are not going homeless, cost of goods come down, we need to go through the hell of 2025 in order to get there. So it will take time, but I promise as we go through 2025, when we get more news, more updates, I will bring you all the latest information that I can and try and dissect and analyze it as best I can, let you guys know what's going on and what to expect going into the future. But until then, thank you all for watching. Please do consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the whole situation. I'd love to hear from you. But until the next time, see you all later and take care.